Topping today's news, 2 men in hospital fighting for their lives after 2 overnight shootings. Sexual assaults continue as 2 more women become victims. The government introduces the new Protection Against Violence bill amid some pushback, and the latest from BPL as we approach the peak summer season of August. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It is a pleasure to have you join us. Police are investigating 2 separate overnight shootings, one here in the capital, the other on Grand Bahama. A 29-year-old male is currently in hospital in serious condition after he was shot multiple times about the body. Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings, in a police report, says the incident reportedly occurred around 10:30 p.m. last night outside the victim's residence off Thatch Palm Avenue. The victim was sitting in his Honda vehicle when he was approached by 2 unknown males, one of whom produced a firearm and shot him multiple times about the body. Emergency medical personnel responded and transported the victim to the hospital. Police are aggressively in search of the suspects involved in this incident. Meantime, on Grand Bahama, a 22-year-old male of Trotter Avenue is also in hospital nursing injuries after he was shot to both legs by a male known to him while outside a business establishment on Polaris Drive. Police say the incident occurred shortly before 10 p.m. The victim was transported to the Rand Memorial Hospital via private vehicle, where he is listed in stable condition. Police are following significant leads into this matter. They are appealing to members of the public who may have any information that pertains to these incidents or any other criminal matter to contact the police at 911, 919, or Crime Stoppers anonymously at 328-TIPS. That's 328-8477. Investigating police officers are looking into the circumstances surrounding 2 alleged sexually assault cases that were reported earlier this week. The incidents reportedly occurred simultaneously on Monday in different areas of the capital. According to police, on Tuesday, shortly after 3 p.m., a 30-year-old female reported that shortly after 9 p.m. on Monday night, while driving west on Marshall Road, she slowed down near the Faith Avenue intersection where she was approached by 2 males on foot. One of the males reportedly produced a firearm and forced her out of her vehicle. The armed culprit then took her to a nearby bushy area where he sexually assaulted her before making good his escape in an unknown direction. At the same time, in another incident, a woman was walking in the area of Fleming Street when she says she accepted a ride with a person known to her. The male suspect drove the 32-year-old to a dirt road off Gladstone Road, where he allegedly produced a firearm and sexually assaulted her. She reported the incident around 3:15 p.m. Police say they are following significant leads into these matters. While several women organizations are opposing the passage of the Protection Against Violence Bill 2023, parliamentarians forged ahead with the debate today. While several women's organizations are opposing the passage of the Protection Against Violence Bill 2023, parliamentarians forged ahead with the debate today. Various women's groups all say this bill is not the bill that women's rights groups worked on for more than a decade, as the bill they worked on and consented on was the Gender-Based Violence Bill, which they claim is now being replaced by the Protection Against Violence Bill, which they say does not contain key provisions that would further help protect women and girls from violence. The organizations last night called on the government to suspend debate on the bill as to present to Parliament the Gender-Based Violence Bill. Despite the call, Prime Minister Philip Davis, who moved the bill, questioned the objection of the women's organizations on the eve of the debate.
A disturbing intervention was made to me this morning, where there were 6 women's groups have indicated their opposition to this bill. And it seemed to be rooted in the fact, from all accounts, on nomenclature, because it was mooted and discussions were held on a bill to be called gender-based violence bill. And we're now debating a bill that is called Protection Against Violence Bill. It may not be perfect, but at the very least, if you had concerns, why wait on the day or the eve of our debating the bill to raise those concerns? I mean, that is troubling. When the bill was here in Parliament, and if there's the kind of interest that is now being expressed was there, I would have expected to have heard from the group before now.
Opposition leader and member of Parliament for Marco City, Michael Pintard, in response on a point of order, noted that interventions were made by the women's organizations and especially spoke to comments made by opposition Senator Michael Barnett Ellis.
So the point of order is the Prime Minister, in his characterization of no message having been sent to this government by any members of the Women's Caucus, is false. So, Prime Minister, I'd just like to read for your edification and into the public, into the... You said you're just hearing, you said you are just hearing about it. You said you're just hearing about it. You're saying you're just hearing about it. Hearing about an objection to the bill that had been laid in the House. And I'm saying that that is false, because I can read for you where, in fact, interventions were made. The article is dated Thursday, June 29th, 2023. And this is, okay? And it reads, Senator Michael Barnett Ellis claimed the Davis administration Protection Against Violence bill is less comprehensive than a previously drafted gender-based violence bill. She did not say what had been removed from the bill, but here's the quote: "For reasons unexplained, this administration has shelved the gender-based violence bill and tabled a new bill to address the issue of domestic violence," she said during a contribution in the 2023-2024 budget debate.
Nevertheless, Prime Minister Davis says his administration is putting in place a legal framework that represents important first steps to protect Bahamians from violence and abuse. Standing to second the Protection Against Violence bill that was introduced by Prime Minister Philip Davis in the House this morning, the Minister of National Security, Wayne Munro, expressed his disappointment that there are some in the society that want to have the bill further delayed, even in the face of the nation facing an increase in sexual offenses. He demonstrated that the bill has been well thought out and has few weaknesses.
When the bill is protecting against violence, and the bill defines what violence is, and it does it in these terms. And this can be found in the interpretation section 2. And it says, violence means violence of any sort that results in physical, sexual, or psychological violence, including rape, sexual abuse, torture, trafficking in person, forced prostitution, kidnapping, sexual harassment, online harassment, or economic or financial abuse that A, occurs within a domestic relationship, whether or not the offender share or shared the same household, or B, is perpetrated by any person, whether in the workplace or otherwise. Yeah. I cannot imagine, Mr. Deputy Speaker, what could be missing from that.
Minister Munro also explained that the bill goes into great detail to define certain aspects of violence that will protect against legal loopholes. He says there are some aspects of the bill that are already in practice, but the law has now established the rights of individuals to not be violated, not just from physical violence, but also economic and financial violence as well.
Economic or financial abuse means A, any unreasonable deprivation of economic or financial resources to which a victim or a family member or a dependent of a victim is entitled under any law or requires out of necessity or has a reasonable expectation of use and such resources include any of the following: household necessities, medical expenses, school fees, mortgage repayments or rent payments in respect of a shared household, denying a person the right to seek employment or to engage in any income-generating activity, unreasonably depriving a victim or family member or dependent of a victim of property in which the victim, family member, or dependent has an interest or reasonable expectation of use, unreasonably disposing of or intentionally destroying or damaging property, engaging in a pattern of behavior, the kind and purpose of which is to exercise coercive control over or exploit or limit a person's access to financial resources so as to ensure financial dependence.
Minister Monroe noted that the bill also includes a commission and a secretariat that both have critical functions. He also noted that the bill will provide for a safe house and psychiatric assistance for victims of violence, and he also invited the official opposition to place their recommendations and suggestions on the table to further strengthen the bill. Bahamas Power and Light is currently at their highest consumption peak on record, even before the country reaches its forecasted fuel peak during the month of August. CEO Siobhan Cambridge, while giving an update, says BPL is preparing to handle the incoming demand.
The temperatures, as we all know, over the course of the last couple of weeks have been record-breaking. We initially had planned, or our forecasts were indicating that we were going to see about a 265 megawatt peak this year. So far this year in New Providence, we've already peaked at 278 megawatts. And our peak month is actually August and September, so we anticipate going well above 280 at this point. Likewise, in the Family Islands of Eleuthera and Exuma, we're also seeing record peaks, and we're ensuring that additional generation is available to meet the new summer loads in those locations as well. So in addition to generation, we're also bolstering our T&D network in New Providence to handle the demand. It's not only generation, but when you have this demand, lines, the ability to get that power to places where people are using them is a key thing. And some of our circuits are already seeing serious loading concerns, and we're making the necessary steps to reinforce those circuits where possible and as quickly as possible. So you may see a lot of activity going on some of the streets with us planting new poles and the like.
Mr. Cambridge goes on to reiterate that BPL does not do live line work, so any maintenance work needed to be done will result in outages, not necessarily load shedding. He also addressed complaints from consumers that their light bills have been steadily increasing. He noted that despite lowering oil prices, fuel prices are fixed for the time being.
Okay, fuel prices are perceivably, well, not perceivably, but they're up while oil prices are down, because we undertook a strategy a few years ago whereby through the hedging program, the decision was made to fix the fuel charge at a certain price, and that price was held throughout the COVID and Dorian and all the rest of that relief, which resulted in a bit of an under-recovery. When that was initially put in place, I think the policy statement that I saw was that it would have been reviewed within a year, but things changed drastically very quickly, and so for economic reasons, the decisions were made to hold the price at 10.5 cents to provide the relief to consumers during that period. And we're now having to pay for that under-recovery. At some point, we're going to have to pay for that fuel, and the glide path strategy was put in place in February of this year to allow us to recover that cost.
Mr. Cambridge also gives an update on BPL's commitment to 30% renewable energy by 2030. He says the unfortunate fire in Andros a few weeks ago has given them the chance to put a greener solution on that island within the next 12 to 18 months.
Long-term renewable energy is to have at least 60 megawatts of utility-scale generation in New Providence, as well as the another 20 plus megawatts of renewable energy of varying sizes and configurations in the Family Islands. We are cognizant of the financial and statistical and logistical realities of integrating 80 megawatts of solar-only renewables at this time. Instead, BPL is adopting a short and medium-term project strategy, and that is going to be to install at least 40 megawatts of renewables within New Providence within the next 3 years, and we're looking to get to that 60 megawatts within 5 years. And in the Family Islands, we're looking to get that 20 megawatts rolled out within the next 5 years. More specifically, within the next year, our intention is to install a 20 megawatt solar farm in New Providence. That solar farm is estimated to be around $40 million in costs, not including the land and everything else that was involved in it. And based on our current stuff that we have in our business plan, we are planning to have that commissioned by late 2024.
Despite the high cost of these projects, Mr. Cambridge says BPL sees itself breaking even within 15 years with renewable energy projects expecting to last more than 40 years. And finally, in this segment, Bahamas Power and Light Company released a statement following the press conference last week with over 7 unions voicing concerns on the alleged disrespect and unresolved issues they have experienced from executives and the government officials. During the press conference, President of the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union, the BEWU, Kyle Wilson, gave BPL executives 30 days to correct 10 unresolved issues, including violation of their industrial agreement, hazard pay, payment of increments, and as negotiated, proper equipment, facilities, and transportation on all Family Islands immediately, among other things. BPL responding says that the company continues to work in good faith with the unions. BPL advises that it has not breached any of the terms of their agreement with the union, and employees are paid all salaries and emoluments in accordance with the industrial agreement. In an interview with Jcn News, Mr. Wilson says this is completely untrue and that BPL seems hell-bent on ignoring the workers.
We are tired. We are tired of being ignored. We are tired of not having our issues heard. It's very disrespectful, in my opinion. The company does not want to sit with the union, but can go and put out press statements that does not speak to the issues, that just basically try to thwart as to what the union is saying. It's frustrating, okay? You have workers under the Ganap tree running BPL engines without any proper facilities on the compound. In Kid Island and other places, you have persons taking the tire off of their personal vehicle to put on a BPL vehicle to service the community, having to borrow bucket trucks from BTC to do the work, doing work with unsafe equipment. And these are truths. The company can never say that I'm telling lies because they know I'm being truthful. And so let's sit down and work the issues out. Why should we have to put the Bahamian people in the middle of our differences? Yes, we gave them 30 days, but we gave them those 30 days hoping they would come to the table, sit down and hear the union's issues and try to work them out and avoid the union have to take any further measure to protect the benefits and the lives and the health and safety of the workers.
The BEWU president believes there are many ongoing issues and that BPL executives are preying on the minds of workers to make it seem like the union is after money when it is actually about the health and safety of the workers. He says the members are ready to strike.
Why does not the company want to sit with the union? And this is the question, and it's very disrespectful. I represent the issues of the workers. And in 30 days, if I'm focused on my own issues and my own ideals, you'll see me out there by myself. But I can assure you that will not be the case come the next 30 days. In actuality, the members are ready to go now. They feel the disrespect. They're not happy. They're not happy in the direction of BPL. There's a lot of things going on. The company is very quiet about as they go along with these issues that are disrupting the membership and frustrating us. And we're saying, come, sit, and speak with us. What is it to hide? What is it that you don't want to speak about? Why don't you want to face the union? Okay? And the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union, we have an agreement that says we're the sole bargaining agent. Please sit with the union and work the issues out. That's all we're saying.
Mr. Wilson reiterates the union's time frame of 30 days for issues to be fixed and hopes that executives speak with the union before industrial action takes place. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.
You know, I own a taxi and tour company, and I deal with lots of high-end customers, like Ellen Pompeo from Grey's Anatomy. She's been my customer for 14 years. They love to go into the inner city. They say, Cheryl, why is the place so dirty, such a beautiful country? And I feel so bad sometimes. But instead of just sitting down and doing nothing, I'm asking all of you as children, let us be examples. It don't make sense cleaning up today and tomorrow your street is dirty again. Let's keep it clean, but I cannot do it by myself. So I'm asking all of you to set examples. Let us team up to clean up our beautiful country. And you know, in a few years from now, we can look back and say, I was a part of Urban Renewal Summer Program where we came along with the minister and Ms. Cambridge and we helped. So do you know today you're part of history? Do you realize that? You're part of history.
I'm happy to be a part of Urban Renewal Camp as a consultant with them. You know, during the summers, a lot of times kids get themselves involved in mischief. But you can help them in an atmosphere where people are speaking positive into their lives, people are influencing them personally, talking to them about good things and pushing them to get education. It takes a lot of burden off society and the burden off the family. So this camp is really making an impact. And I am so happy that this camp is being pulled off right now to help young kids, man, to impact them and give them an opportunity to see some different things. You know, they live in a communities where there's a lot of violence, a lot of drugs, a lot of abuse, but to take them from that community for a couple of days and just, probably you don't know what a word can do to them to really change them, you know, so I'm happy to be a part of that.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited. This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.